Chairman Smyrie, would you open us with a word of prayer, please? Push your button. There you go.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come today asking for your grace. We ask that you will continue to watch over us. We know we live in perilous times, but we know that all power is in your hand. Help us and continue to watch over us in our deliberations. We ask for your continued blessings. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. All right, I guess, where's our doorkeeper? You got the door shut, that's right. Mr. Albers, he's first on the list. Hey, Senator, there's a microphone right there. Thank you, sir. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate your time in this new process. I bring before you today Senate Bill 249, which is the Police Officer Annuity and Benefit Fund, which was founded in 1950. This will increase the benefits for its members. It will add jail officers for the very first time. It will increase the contributions from the members from $20 to $25. They contribute to the plan. There are no state dollars, and it flattens the fine schedule from the old tier system to a simple 10% or $10, whatever is higher, as well as for pretrial diversion, it used to be $5, now it'll be 5% or $5.
Okay. I see no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hold on. Oh, yes.
Yes, I had a question, Senator. Does this increase the amount that a person with a violation would pay?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Pro Tem. It flattens the fee schedule, so in some cases it will be a slightly higher amount, where in the past, as an example, for pretrial diversion, it was a flat $5. Now it'll be $5 or 5%, whatever the greater amount is. So it could be a slightly higher fine amount, but obviously you would have to be convicted and guilty of those in order to pay those.
The concern being that we keep tacking these on and increasing them so that some folks can't even afford to pay their fines, regardless of whether they're convicted or not. That's the only concern I have. So I'm just curious, when you say it slightly higher, so it's not a substantially higher in some cases? Because 10% seems like that could be pretty high.
Right, 10% or $10, and that what we did is we removed the lines that were there. It used to be a tiered system for the different amounts. This really just made it flatter and
but it's
easier.
10% or $10, whichever is higher. Higher.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sorry, somebody walked by, I couldn't
Right.
hear you.
10% or $10, whichever is higher.
That is correct.
What is the highest increase it could be?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What's the largest increase it could be?
The largest increase?
Like what? Yeah.
Are you referencing a dollar amount?
Yeah, dollar amount. Like could it be $200 more than it used to be, or?
I mean, typically for a fine, you're talking about, $100, $200, $300 fine, which it would be either 10% or $10 where the greater amount would be. So, just basic math.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hatchett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, it shows that I'm not an attorney, but what is quasi-criminal? What's that mean?
Yeah, quasi-criminal is something like a traffic citation, right? Because that doesn't fall in the normal traditional criminal code.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I know you mentioned it was $200-300, but will it affect super speeders that can be $1,200 or $1,300 in some counties?
Yes, a super speeder fine can be rather extraordinary. There's no doubt about that.
But I'm thinking about the 10% tacked on. That can get up there.
Yeah, I would make sure they slow down.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Another bit of trivia information.
Oh, I like this.
Almost as good as the water buffalo yesterday. You don't have to pay that. It's not a tax. You don't have to pay it if you don't commit the crime.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I got some counties in Georgia that make a huge living over just catching people. They're out on the interstate, nobody in the city. So, you know, you can be a little bit over, but you
Okay.
pay the fine.
I know, I paid a $300 one a couple of years ago. Okay, no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate to talk about a bill on the yellow sheets or not?
No, sir, let's wait till tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you. Okay, Mr. Floor Leader, let's bring in Chairman Welch. Hey, Chairman, back there at the microphone by the door. I think you have Senate Bill 405.
It's hard to teach this young dog old tricks
I understand.
or new tricks. 405, yes, sir, I have a 405 before you. This is just a modification to the law to allow for a temporary use of six-person juries in Superior Court by consent of both parties, and then also in state court would be allowed for six-person juries. And this is to address, it's temporary, it would begin July 1st and it would operate through June 30th of next year. This is to address and allow for courts and clerks and judges to better manage the number of folks that are in jury panels, giving them enough social distance separation so that they can conduct and administer justice and conduct the jury trials without having to worry about people becoming infected by COVID while they're doing that providing that public service. If you think about it, you've been called to a jury. It may be concerning to you if you have to get in a room with 24 people or even 48 people to be selected down to a panel of 12.
Okay. Number 27, Chairman Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Welch, I appreciate you bringing this. And if anybody's looking at their calendar in front of them, it does not mention a description of a temporary change to the jury system because it was another bill that we were passing in the Senate, so it was a vehicle. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
And also, part of the discussion that we had with allowing this basically voluntary move to a six-person jury was that in some of the courthouses across the state, particularly more so in rural, smaller counties, they were designed where you literally cannot space people apart and get the number of folks you need. But isn't it true that if we pass this, it'll encourage enough room in some of those jury rooms and courtrooms to have people with proper spacing?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. No more questions. All right. Floor Leader Senator Black. Not here. Okay. All right. Senator Say? Say? See? Okay. Why silent, huh? Okay. Sorry about that, Senator.
Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have before you for your consideration Senate Bill 306. That's the Audiology and Speech Pathology Interstate Compact Bill. This bill seeks to do three things, three objectives, and they are permit a speech-language pathology or audiologist to obtain one license which will allow them the privilege to practice in multiple states. 2, support spouses and active duty military personnel when relocating. And 3, allows greater access to speech-language pathology and audiology services in rural areas through the use of telehealth. There are other interstate compact bills like the physical therapists and all. This one models it. We are just trying to give Georgians access to the needed health care services here.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I see no questions. Thank you. All right, Senator Thompson. Hey, Senator, where's your mask? Okay, you got your mask in. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Do you want me to put it on, Mr. Chairman?
No, I won't be able to hear you.
Well, good morning. I bring before you Senate Bill 316. You've already seen a companion of that come out of this chamber that Representative Heath Clark had. What this basically does is provide reciprocity to professional licenses to military spouses that have been deployed to our state.
Okay. Well, okay. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it not true, sir, that I sponsored a bill like this almost 6 years ago, and the problem was not in the bill, it was in enforcement, particularly by State Department heads. That bill is on the table. I would hope this time around that we will enforce the law that's already there.
Thank you, sir. I see no more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If Mr. Beach is there, he does not have to come in. We're only going to let the senators come in once, and he came in yesterday. All right. Chairman Cooper, you've got a bill that you're carrying for Chairman Tillery, and I think he's kind of wrapped up with the budget right now. So
it's Senate Bill 372, Mr. Chairman. This is a public health bill. It's a cleanup bill, reducing unnecessary or duplicate administrative burdens, and bringing the Georgia Code up to date. The two major things that it does is that it revises the standing order for naloxone, which is the antidote to drug overdoses, and makes it where first offenders and the police can get that at a reduced rate. And also the Section 5, which says that we will keep birth certificates, not send them to the archives when people are over 100, because we have so many Georgians living to be over 100, and this would let their personal information go out to the public. It would, and mainly through people that are in genealogy that are going through records. And that's basically the bill.
okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. I see no questions. All right, let's see. Senator Jones. Or is Chairman, okay, there he is. Morning, Senator.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you this morning?
Good, you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having us today. Bring to you today Senate Bill 377, which is a Department of Insurance bill. They asked us to bring this. Of course, it went through Insurance Representative Chairman Lumsden's committee the other day. They told me that he did a much better job of presenting it than I did. So if we have any questions, I might ask the chairman to help me out. But basically, what this does, very simple. Insurance department is trying to become a little more efficient in their inspections. Due to statute, they're required to inspect elevators all over the state twice a year, and they're having a hard time getting to all the different elevators and systems to inspect them, quite frankly. So anyways, they are asking that we give them a little more leniency and allow them to be able to spread out their resources a little better. I'll take any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, welcome back.
Thank you, Senator, for your bill. My question just goes to if there was a failed report for an elevator, is there a more frequent inspection of that at that particular time? Thinking about the safety.
I understand, and it's a good question. A lot of, particularly in private businesses, are concerned. A lot of risk management firms, insurance companies, when you have an elevator system, they require a certificate that it's been maintenance and the upkeep has been taken care of. So, you know, they are behind in trying to inspect a lot of elevators, and particularly when you're trying to do twice a year, it makes it more difficult. So it's the backlog is what they're concerned with, and that's why they want to try to do one time a year. But that doesn't prevent anybody from going out and getting an independent inspection themselves for their insurance provider.
Thank you.
Chairman Armstead.
This is something that the insurance department has asked, as I said, for more flexibility. But when you look around, most states are doing 12 months to 18 months inspections. So our 6-month requirement goes back many, many decades. And the technology surrounding our elevators has improved greatly in that time frame. And most businesses that operate an elevator are under contract with those companies that either install the elevator or maintain the elevator. So this is an inspection function that the Department of Insurance performs, but in terms of their concerns over safety, because of the newer technologies, more of them being maintained by companies, that will help them focus their resources in those areas where they know that there's some problems in maybe older type elevator systems, while just giving them that flexibility to use their resources where they feel they need it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think certainly we understand the times we live in, but there is, as the chair lady pointed out, the safety factor. Having spent 3 hours in a state elevator after hours, you know, private business, I think they ought to have a certificate that they have a contract. But in state buildings, who's going to inspect them? I mean, you know, one bad accident, and we wonder, what good did we do? I have a problem with state buildings not continuing to, and we ought to look into who he's got behind desk that might do well as inspectors. I got a real problem with that.
Yes, sir. Very good comment, and I suggested to the insurance department that they also try to outsource some of these jobs to private businesses as entities that are in that business, and to try to get us a larger footprint to cover as far as inspections are concerned.
Okay, Representative Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Isn't it true that the insurance department said that right now they're only doing 35% of the inspections, and if they go to this new arrangement, they can get up to 95% of the entities that need to be inspected? So that's just additional information,
Okay.
as you would say.
Thank you, ma'am. No more questions. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Y'all have a good day.
You too. All right, Senator Ligon. Senator Ligon has Bill 442. After you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm bringing before you Senate Bill 442. It amends the Property Association Act to allow owners of rental properties to continue to rent their property until it's sold or the use goes back to single-family residence. And the reason this is being done, we need this, is because you have investors that have gone into areas where homes have been distressed, especially during the last economic downturn. They bought properties, fixed them up, rented them out, and then the covenants would change and they're stuck with that house that they can't really use. It just grandfathers them in until they sell it or the use changes. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, isn't it true in committee we also took steps to make sure that this would have no application to properties that are being used as short-term rentals?
You're correct. You're correct. We require, this only applies to the long-term rentals.
Thank you.
Okay, number 72. Oh, Chairman Cooper.
Thank you. Senator, how does this affect if the local jurisdictions have other restrictions on long-term or short-term rentals.
Well, it applies to amendments. So if
To what?
It only applies to amendments. So if the covenants already had existing restrictions in them, this bill would not apply. But if they don't have those restrictions in there and people have relied on that when they purchase the properties, then they couldn't be hurt by a sudden change. They would be allowed to continue that use until they sell the property. Then the property would need to revert back to single-family residential.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Chairman Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Ipstead understood Chairman Cooper's question properly. I thought she was asking, would this have any effect whatsoever on local government's ability to regulate or control short-term rentals? And the fact is that this does not delve into local law at all. This is simply homeowners associations, where we already have a section of our code that deals with that, and would only apply in those subdivisions and areas and would not have any effect on a county's or city's ability, if needed, to deal with a problematic short-term rental situation. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. So.
Okay, I don't see any more questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
And if you'll tell Senator Black to come in as you go out, thank you.
Sir. I will. Thank you.
Morning, Senator.
Good morning. Got a little retirement bill here. Senate Bill 294. Very simple. About 10 years ago or so, we passed a statute that allowed the retirement systems to invest up to 5% of their assets in alternative investments. At the time, the teachers were very much leery of these alternative investments, so a prohibition was put in that statute to keep the teachers' retirement system from exercising this tool. This bill simply strikes the teachers' retirement system from that statute. This will allow the teachers' retirement system to utilize that tool, which has been very effective for the other retirement systems. We've earned more money on those investments than we have under all of our other tools that they invest in. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, I don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you'll tell Senator Burke to come in when you go out. Senate Bill 482.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Morning, Senator.
Committee, how are y'all doing? I bring you Senate Bill 482, which is another step in our long journey that we're undertaking in both chambers the last couple of years to improve transparency to health care costs and pharmacy costs. And be glad to answer any detailed questions if anybody has one.
Anybody got a question? Okay. All right, no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
All right. Senator Anderson. Now, you know you missed yesterday.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And that's why
I expect to hear some groveling or something, you know, for apologies or whatever. But go ahead.
I truly apologize. Mr. Chairman and committee members, all this bill does is Senate Bill 144, and all this bill does is authorize the Department of Revenue to issue sales permits for special tobacco events.
Could you give us an example?
Well, one of the examples of where we have these special events is in the big, great town of Augusta, Georgia. We have a little special event.
Little golf tournament there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I wore a tie today to represent that.
Okay. Any questions?
Event.
Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, today's the 33rd legislative day. And we'll go ahead and set the calendar for today. Under modified structure, Senate Bill 249. Do I hear all in favor say aye? All opposed, like sign? Okay. Mr. Secretary, you ready to count some hands? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Okay, it's on. Okay, second item, Senate Bill 372. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. Senate Bill 377. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. I want to do this thing fair. Opposed, raise your right hand. Okay. It's on. Under structured, Senate Bill 144. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. Thank y'all, y'all. Hold on. We got a motion, hold on.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that, according to Rule 33.3, that we limit debate on Senate Bill 249 to no more than 1 hour.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's on. Thank you. Debate's limited. 1 hour on 249. Y'all have a great day.